Welcome, everyone. I never let it get down to zero because that's in the movies when the bomb goes off. So it's like, forget it. Never let it get to zero because you never have an option when it gets to zero. I could have put it back on and got whatever was in my front teeth out, but nope, I'm going au natural. How's everyone doing tonight?
Crypto Night in Canada. Dun, 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 dun.
We have some special guests tonight. We have, I'm not going to, no, that way. We have Len, and we have below me Joy. They're from the Canadian Bitcoiners joining us. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. I know there's lots of news and lots of stuff to talk about with that, which is what we're going to do tonight. And then we have Ryan on the extreme right and Eddie the dog. And in the middle, we have Mr. Mark, my words, Lazarick. Because that's what he says about XRP. Mark my words.
I never have said that, but I like it. I might start using it.
Say it now, so I said you said it. And then we have Ken, and we have Neil. How's it going, Neil?
Pretty good. How's everyone tonight?
Good. No outbreaks at the hospital?
Not that I'm aware of.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not that you'd admit, right?
That's the only kind that matters, buddy.
I was actually off today, so
That's one hell of a long smoke break.
Yes, and we got to say hi to everybody in the that's here tonight. We can see Gary Matthews is in the house, Chris Brophy, Jenster23, welcome, Jason Spooner, obviously. Dalge is in the house. I think Candace was here. Tim, I can never figure your computer out. You need to move the comments up. I'm like trying to read the comments.
No more, that's why.
No. Well, welcome everybody. If Tim didn't move the comments up. So thank you for coming tonight, and lots of exciting things. Bitcoin took a jump up. Len?
It's been a good day so far for Bitcoin. But before we go any further, Tim, did you shake your phone?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
He's on a challenge.
You're not a member of my Facebook page, guys. You're not with the crypto, are you?
Not me, no. Joey?
I don't even have a Facebook account. No.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, don't you?
Oh man.
Yeah, I swear to God. Let me just double check.
You did, and you posted it. So we have a little for those of you that are. I can't.
No, I'm good.
Even,
11 days. Yeah, 11 days. I'm 11 days closer to that
11
bloody Visa card.
No.
Well,
No. We have to back up.
You always start at the bottom of the hill. You never jump from the helicopter.
Oh my gosh. We have to back up a little bit because for those of you that are watching tonight, I can't imagine that you haven't watched the HiRye channel and our Sunday night crypto show about nothing and about everything. But if you had, you would have known that Ryan threw the gauntlet down because poor Tim doesn't remember to shake his Shakepay app. So Tim's got to go 50 days straight with shaking that app, or he has to donate $100 to Ryan's charity, which I think he chose the...
It'll be Humane Society and
Humane Society,
one of them,
right?
But if Tim does it though, then yeah, I owe you guys $100 to whatever the heck you guys want. It's only 50 days. This should be very easy. This one's a giveaway to a charity that you want. So
you would think, but let's just no, it's not easy. Anyway, so yes, Len, he did shake today, so we're 1 day closer, day 11. But I want to get into and jump into because when we talked on Sunday night on Ryan's channel, Len, we were just waiting for the results of the
what was going to happen when
GBTC
the unlocking?
Yes. So did it do exactly what? Remember, Ryan went around and asked us what we thought and what we thought was going to happen, and I said I don't know. And Len, you thought
the price might have been baked in, and that's what I was thinking. So who the heck knows? It really, in the end, it did drop. But what happened today, it certainly turns things around.
I was going to say, if you look at it day by day, there might have been a swing, but week on week kind of thing, it sideways traded the entire time. So Haas kind of nailed it. Everyone who said that they didn't expect much to happen, like Ken, you guys kind of nailed it. But yeah, outside of a swing one day and then total opposite the next, nothing really happened.
It's a stable coin now. The price is always in around 31, 32K. It's just stuck there. It's a stable coin, if you ask me.
Oh, Panda still thinks it's going to crash. He believes it's going to jump down. What do you guys think?
GBTC?
Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin. I think how many times did you look at the price today and think like, I wonder what Elon is talking about on stage? I didn't even watch that B word thing, but my Twitter feed was like not super like happy with him pumping Tesla and pumping Doge and pumping Ethereum.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I didn't watch it. How bad was
too
it?
much time on that guy because I watched that whole thing. Like he was very, in fact, the only thing that he said that was kind of whack, which might get him into some trouble, was he's getting all like jolly on his crypto positions, but he's like, I pump, but I never dump. So he'll probably end up getting in trouble for that. But I mean, but then Kathy Wood had really wicked points, which I had a video with Nancy, and we were talking about the in-between with companies that are investing in Bitcoin. And then Nancy mentioned something I didn't even know about these companies that, for instance, in their Bitcoin holdings like Tesla, if Bitcoin value were to go down, they have to record that on their books. But if Bitcoin value goes up, they can't record it. So as a profit. So it's totally unfair in that sense of things. So then I got a little confused and thought maybe it's just like the retail push of Bitcoin excitement that drives, for instance, Michael Saylor pushes on Bitcoin days and stuff. But anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. But yeah, Elon he mentioned everything that no one wanted him to mention. Like he's Elon.
You can get into the weeds.
He talked about Doge a bunch of times too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Such a goof.
He's he's a salesman. Like he's not an investor. The thing you just described, Ryan, is that's like colloquially known as what you see on financial quarterly
accounting?
earnings calls. GAAP accounting is what you see in the report, but what you hear on the calls is non-GAAP accounting. So on a call, you're likely to hear something about the Bitcoin price going up, but the reporting will never have that. That's why they, like you mentioned, there's always another motive, right, for what these guys are saying and doing. So nothing new there. It's a fiduciary responsibility. You expect it from a guy like Elon. I like Kathy. I don't know if she's kind of fallen out of favor recently. I don't love her ETFs, like buying each other over and over again and pumping up in like this house of cards. But what did she have to say about Bitcoin today?
In and out, so I don't want to misquote anybody. I was very intently focused on Musk when he was speaking. And Jack Dorsey was going on a little bit about Square, but how Jack Dorsey and Kathy in another segment that I kind of was in and out on were kind of alluding that because of those accounting rules, Tesla's likely to have a pretty bad next quarter reporting income-wise, just because of where they purchased. But that was just her allusion to it. Anyway, again, like I said, in and out. I thought it was pretty interesting, though. But Elon kind of did steal the show on Twitter and everywhere else, as he always does.
He definitely came off as like the least intelligent person speaking. Like I thought, and I do not care for the guy, but it was like a soft Tesla sale. Like he really talked about things that it wasn't supposed to be about. But like, I've never really listened to it. Is it Dorsey before the other guy? But he actually was quite businesslike, and he made a few good points. But I think it was definitely positive for the most part.
Yeah, Dorsey's a pro, man. He we talk about him on our show pretty often. I think until proven otherwise, he's like probably Bitcoin's biggest positive influence in not only the sort of traditional financial sphere, but also in this whole payment rails thing. I know Mallers is gonna probably contend with that at the moment because it's like Ellen Strike and all that. But I don't know, Len. I know we talked about it before. I don't want to rehash too much of the stuff we said, but like I can't imagine a world where Dorsey, Twitter, Cash App, and Square don't all take advantage of all the stickiness in those ecosystems and just bring people on board with payment rails on Lightning. And I think he mentioned he's doing the hardware wallet thing too, right? And he's starting the DeFi thing. So, I mean, I think it's only it's in his best interest to keep that ethos front and center. Both for him as a fiduciary and I think for his reputation in the community as well. So I don't think it'll change anytime soon. That's my guess.
I do remember sorry guys, I'm just kind of remembering something now. Elon Musk did pose a question that I caught on, not the actual thing I was watching, but on another YouTube video was summarizing it. But Elon did pose the question out of nowhere to Jack Dorsey on potential for Twitter, social media accepting Bitcoin and major cryptocurrencies as a form of payment for their advertising area and advertising space. And Jack Dorsey obviously there was no definitive answers or anything like that, but it seemed way more in the realm of possibility than him kind of shirking it off. But I thought that was pretty. And that was right around the time they were all chatting about when Tesla's going to accept Bitcoin again. But he tried to flip it on Jack, and Jack kind of made it sound like it's something they're already thinking about. Who knows, though? Who knows?
It makes sense. They added the tip jar, or they talked about tip jar, right? I think one of you guys will have to correct my memory. Dancers are nodding along. I'm pretty sure Twitter has a tip jar thing in the pipe, and they had for a long time, and I think they stopped allowing it. This tippin.me thing, which may still be on Reddit. That's
not an operation right now. It's kind of on hold. It's but it's not being run by Twitter. It's somebody that's running it through Twitter.
Twitter stopped allowing it in profiles, I'm pretty sure, or stopped allowing links to it or something like that in tweets. I don't remember I don't remember when that was or if it's still going on, but it was a while back now, probably 2 or 3 years ago, when they started to not take payments, but facilitate payments even indirectly on the platform. But we'll see. I mean, these guys, look at what you're seeing now with like BlockFi, and the state of New Jersey. These guys are in waters where, 3 years ago, it was nice. People would walk by and see a bunch of people playing in the sandbox, and that was the Bitcoin crowd. And now, like we talked about, Len, these guys, these new payment providers, Lightning Network, facilitating companies, they're at the foundations of traditional finance with a pickaxe, and in a year from now it's going to be a fucking bulldozer. And if they don't get their shit together over there on the traditional finance side, it's not going to be pretty for them, and there's going to be a fight. And I think that's one of the reasons Dorsey is probably careful with his words, Ryan, to kind of go back to what you were saying. I think he knows that there's probably a little bit of a fight coming, and I don't think he wants to I don't think he wants to get himself in any hot water that he doesn't have to, at least not yet. Yeah.
It's interesting. I can't say much because I have to watch confidentiality, but I do have a client that is a financial advisor, and I was talking to him, and he has a fairly big book of business and stuff like that. So of course, I go and I say, so what are your thoughts about cryptocurrency and stuff like that? And he doesn't, your dog's getting excited there, a little excited, Ryan. You got to control that. You got to control pause there, man. I'm telling you, you're going to get, your arm's going to be shredded and wet. But he was saying that, they're not worried about having it in portfolios and cryptocurrencies. You know what they're worried about is they're worried about all of the business that Wealthsimple has taken away. They're not worried about cryptocurrency. They're not worried about
is that not synonymous? Is that not synonymous though? Like, did these guys not see? It's funny. Like I was saying to Len the other day that TD sent out, they send out the investment, letter updates to people who have, I guess, TFSAs or RSPs, like self-directed within their whatever accounts. And you know what was in the email? The email was about meme stocks. When was the last time meme stocks were relevant? Like that craze was 8 months ago now or something like that. So imagine the bureaucracy and red tape that they had to go through, how many board meetings, how many emails, how many touch points and Zoom calls, all the dumb stuff you hate about going to work in an office. They had to sit through all that for 8 months. And just this week, it was about meme stocks. There's just no way, for your buddy, Tim, whatever. I'm sure he's a very nice guy or girl, but
he's a client. He's a client. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just, the thing I would say to him is Wealthsimple's the canary in the coal mine, buddy. It's not, it's not going to be the last thing that happens. It's the first thing that happens. And once you let that snowball start rolling downhill, how are you going to stop it? What's your plan? Who there's some of us here who are under 35. How many people under 35, go to the bank to do anything? And it's funny because TD in the app updates you get, I'm only talking about TD because that's who I use to deal with the fiat system. They're still clapping their hands and patting themselves on the back because they figured out how to get checks to deposit in the dark, for the photo. I don't even have a checkbook, man. No one has a checkbook. No. Does anyone here have a checkbook?
No.
Who's got one? You don't need it.
I think
so
I
what are these guys talking about?
I started digging.
If you dug around, I think the last time I signed a check was probably to pay rent in university. That's probably the last time I signed a check. And since then, since then, what do you, even for our wedding, how many people gave us checks? It was just the seniors, just the people who call the envelopes a booster, basically.
Well, you gotta look at who's onboarding visas. They're starting to onboard the visas, right? all these secondary companies that are non, traditional banks that are bringing in, Shakepay is bringing in a visa, BlockFi is bringing in a visa. Don't you think Visa's kind of looking at this going, we're missing out on something here. You know, I mean, I
they're the beneficiaries here because we reported a few weeks ago on our show that I forgot what the number was. It was over $1 billion. It could have been 3 or 4 billion that they got in revenue from the Bitcoin related or cryptocurrency related.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So they're benefiting from this. You know, I think it's really a good thing for Visa, but they still have to keep on their toes because there could be something on the horizon that could basically chop them at the knees and make them irrelevant. They really got to keep an eye out on what's happening behind them.
Yeah.
Like even though I'm not like a guy who like even enjoys talking about like Ethereum, there's no doubt that whether or not Ethereum gets DeFi right or not, whether or not, you know, some of these tokens are deemed to be securities or not, there's no question that the cat's out of the bag on that. Like it's already there. People have already seen it, right? So if you have people like friends of yours or you do it yourself, like I'm sure some of the guys on this call do the DeFi dance on their own. How can you go back to like traditional remittances? You can't do it. There's no way. Like you're never going to go back to inconveniencing yourself, going to a bank every time you take out $50, or I mean, 50 is an overstatement, obviously, but like, you know, I remember when I went to get my roof done, I took like $5,000 off my HELOC, and the teller wouldn't give it to me unless I gave her like, you know, the ins and outs of what I was doing with the money. Like, what do you care? You're
I remember
making,
a few
like,
weeks
minimum wage, and you're just at the door telling me that I got to give you a breakdown on where the money's going.
Remember
It's
a few
for
weeks ago,
shingles.
we were talking about DeFi with the BlockFi, I think it was, and their interest rates were 7.5%. We were in awe at that number. That's incredible compared to what's being offered by traditional banks. That's just insane.
Speaking of which, Mark Lazarick's got some news with regards to traditional banks.
Royal Bank.
Okay, clue me in a little bit more.
What
I'm so excited with
Wait a
what's
minute.
happening here.
Jog my memory.
Why, hello?
The great Canadian Bitcoiners here. I was so excited. So
He's a little.
No, with their
He's awestruck.
I've
like
also
movie stars.
I've also been in a dentist chair for the whole afternoon. Might be a little loopy on that. So.
Oh, there you go.
You're drooling.
No, I thought this morning you sent us a message about that the Royal Bank just announced that. That's what I thought.
Well, okay, hold on 1 second. So I did send you that this morning. Let me get it.
It was supposed to be a secret. Too late.
Because I am still a little loopy, like I said.
Coming down off the painkillers.
Sign a check. I got a check here for you to sign.
Yeah, I can't even find what I sent you this morning.
Oh dear God! Everyone's leaving. Look what you've done,
Everybody's
Mark.
leaving.
It's
Joey's
the dogs. It's the
leaving.
dogs. It's the dogs.
I tell you, it's been a long day.
It has been a long day. So,
Ripple.
in a nutshell, the Royal Bank has just made an announcement.
Yes, that they are partnering with our favorite people. They are partnering with Ripple Labs and the XRP ledger to enhance and improve payments. But
Me and Len making the same face here.
hey, listen. I'm going to tell you right now, and I said this on the call last week. I said, we got to get those damn Bitcoin maximalists on here, so we can have a tussle. But
The SEC's calling.
Please, that whole thing's going to blow up in the SEC's face, and I think we all know it. Like we just had 2 SEC people come out and say, yeah, there's mass confusion happening at the office. Like, we don't know. They're too busy watching porn over there. I don't know if you saw that one, but they got serious problems going on at the SEC. But that being said, I think we all know one thing, and I'll just say this because I wanted to say this while we got our great Canadian Bitcoiners on the call. Last week I said the one thing I hate most about this space, the one thing I hate most is the tribalism. I'm going to tell you my game. My game is this. I buy things low and sell things high. I'm not married to them. I divorced a wife already. I know we have a guy on the call that just got married, but I divorced someone already. I might jump in the pool on that again too. Like, you never know how things get going. But I think the whole tribalism piece with regards to crypto is bad. And I think there's a lot of use cases out there for some really good cryptocurrency. I agree that there's some currency out there that are the shit coins of the world. But I think when you're looking at real projects like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano, I think there's a lot of use cases for a lot of them. And I think that you're going to see after this bull run is finally over, I think you're going to see a handful of cryptocurrency left standing, and the ones that are playing around with our favorite Doge coin or Dodge coin or whatever we're calling it. I think those are the ones that are going to get burned. But I think that if you're in Bitcoin, if you're in XRP, if you're in Cardano, I think you're standing a pretty good chance of making some good money.
Well, they're benefiting from the rising tide lifts all boats. And this is kind of, I don't know, Joey, this kind of reminds you a little bit of 2017 in a way, where a lot of ICOs came out, a lot of new projects, and a lot of pump and dumps, really. And that's what it's kind of seems like what's happening here. Not to dissuade the projects like Cardano, XRP, Ethereum, whatever. I'm not into them, but perhaps there may be use case for them. I don't know. But there's so many other coins out there. They're just benefiting from what is happening with Bitcoin, and it's kind of just they're just latching onto it. And when whenever you have something bad that happens to one of these, if there's bad news, like perhaps there's some scam or something associated with it, it leaves a black eye in the whole community, including Bitcoin. And this is why we don't need it. And all these people, if you look at it, follow the trail. A lot of these, there's somebody that's benefiting, or a group of people that are benefiting from it. They're trying to make money. And that's currently that. If you look at what Bitcoin does, there's nobody behind it that's trying to make money. It's a community-driven, it's a grassroots type of system.
Come on. And I think everybody that's in it's trying. If you're telling me that you're in it not worried about making money, I call that false.
Like I said last week, if this just holds its place of value, like if the money that I put into it equates to what real inflation is, I'm happy. Anything beyond that is gravy. But as long as it maintains what real inflation is, that's my goal.
It really looks like that's becoming the job more and more. I would just caution against, like, if you look at, I don't want to make this like the inflation hour, but if you look at some of the asset inflation you've seen the last little while, I'm just pulling up the Ripple chart here. So, your house presumably has gone up by, 40% in the last year, if not more. Mm-hmm. There's more money in the system, both traditional finance and, froth and crypto than there ever has been in the past. And even with all that froth, even with all the asset inflation, and even with all the sort of runaway spending and printing, Ripple's only been able to make it to about $2. Now in 2017, made it to about $3.25.
Yeah, but you would agree that Ripple, unfortunately, has been handcuffed with the SEC lawsuit. That has made a huge difference.
No. What's worse though? Like, is the SEC lawsuit worse than like Doge? Doge's history, tokenomics. Like, I don't know if it is or not. It sounds to me like you think that everyone thinks that it's going to blow over. Maybe everyone doesn't think that.
Well, here's what I'm telling you. You got to do your own research. I don't see Bitcoin with 200 banks plus making deals with it. I don't see any other cryptocurrency in the room with all central banks and countries all over the world. I had to laugh because there was all this news about Bitcoin. The narrative's starting to change now. Like, we're starting to see a narrative change. I saw it this morning, where 2 months ago, 3 months ago, everybody was like, the blood coin. I can't buy Bitcoin. It's mined in China. China coin. China's bad. Everything's bad. Now all of a sudden we're bringing Bitcoin to the United States. All of a sudden I saw a thing on, I think it was CoinDesk today, and they said it's not so bad after all. Well, is it not so bad because it's sitting on U.S. soil now? So does the U.S. government have any control over this thing now because most of the miners are in the U.S.? Is it truly decentralized?
It sure is, because the rules are governed by the community. It's not governed by the miners. The miners are just there to mine and earn money. They're not there to change the network protocols. They're not there to do anything else. They're simply there to mine. And to go further, you were saying about XRP. Now, if it's
the miners can be manipulated very easily just by like legislation and tax law. Within 2 seconds, it's unprofitable to mine. So I think now that Asia is totally
we experienced that. We experienced that with China, and it just
more than once. Yeah, more than once.
They found another jurisdiction.
As far as the XRP and banks thing and the Bitcoin changing narrative, as a wise man once said, there is nothing new that is not forgotten. And, I've heard the banks thing many times. In fact, when I looked up the RBC thing on my phone here, the first thing that comes up is a Reddit link from 2018. I don't know.
They've been talking with them for a long time. But if you look back, they've been establishing this groundwork for a very, very long time.
I don't think it's a good thing for them. I mean, for anybody to say that it's good for like XRP to be tied to central banks or even traditional banks.
I think
ultimately they're the ones that created this mess, this runaway printing, the fractional reserve system.
Absolutely.
This is
former fractional reserve. Don't even have to have a fractional reserve in Canada. You haven't had to have one since '92. So it's not it's not like we do that. The states just lifted theirs. I would just say, like, I think there's a case. The most bold case I hear against Bitcoin is always this transaction speed and transaction volume. And I think Lightning Network fixes a lot of that. Let's pretend it doesn't, though. Let's pretend that XRP is going to become the remittances king, and everyone uses XRP to transfer money. It'll be immediately replaced, and a hammer will come down on it once CBDCs are available. And that's coming. Len and I have an inside track on that. I think, Len, there's some fast tracking going on as far as the stuff going on with that project. And I think that if it's remittances, that's your base case, then
why do you think it'll be replaced when CBDCs become available? Because
CBDCs are only intended to do one thing, right? They're intended to increase the capability of monetary policymakers down to the individual level. So you do that through a number of different levers, but most critically, along with that use case, the other one is surveillance. And this used to be a tinfoil hat thing to say, but as you saw today, our friends in Australia locking down for the 10th or 11th time. I don't know where all the Australian leadership simps are these days. They completely messed up COVID over the last year. But as you saw today, one of the mechanisms they're using to see if people are leaving their house is whether or not you use your debit card after curfew. So you can't tell me now that this is a tinfoil hat thing. And certainly, I mean, not that I need to make the case that surveillance in money is some kind of new phenomenon. I mean, we do KYC and AML every time we leave the house, right? So I would just say that it seems to me that if remittances and payments is going to be the use case, it's it was a lot stronger 3 years ago than it is today with the acceleration you're seeing in the CBDC space.
I think that it's working in conjunction with CBDCs, and I think that when you look at XRP and the XRP ledger and what they're trying to do, they're solving a multi-billion-dollar problem, and there's no other cryptocurrency asset out there. So they're solving a multi-billion-dollar problem, trillion-dollar problem, which is
it's 90 trillion actually.
There you go. which is transferring money from one country to the next, and that's not going to change. And SWIFT can't do it, and Lightning Network can't do it. Bitcoin can't. Nobody can do it.
So what can't Lightning Network do? I'm just curious.
But they're designed to do it. Well, I think Lightning Network is like like kind of the rip-off model of XRP.
Okay.
And when you look at the two in comparison, you tell me what you're gonna want. You're gonna want something that uses more energy, maybe not as much as Bitcoin, but it's going to use more energy than XRP, and it's going to be slower than XRP. So that's what they're going to go to. They're going to go to the Lightning Network.
So Lightning
instead of going with the number one.
So Lightning is capable of doing 15 million transactions a second. If XRP could match that, exceed it, great. But 15 million should be sufficient enough to meet the demands of current day. Because right now,
even if it can't, like the question for the XRP heads, and it's not quite as bad as Ethereum, but because Ethereum doesn't have like this, it doesn't have a great monetary track record, but at least it's better than XRP. The question for people who hold XRP is ultimately this: who's going to buy your XRP?
I think what you have to understand is that you're missing the whole concept.
No, I'm not. Stop it. No, I'm not. Who's going to buy your? Who's going to buy your XRP? Because they're going to give it. Because they're going to pump it out for banks if they use banks. They're going to give it to these partners for free. So why do you hold it? What's the point?
A little trail of money.
Because it is a mechanism of exchange. Bitcoin, when you're taking Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to use Bitcoin to go buy a coffee. You can't all Bitcoin. That's why every maximalist, if you look at the history, all Bitcoin maximalists have done the same thing. Bitcoin was supposed to be the new money. Oh crap, it doesn't work. Okay, so it can't be money. Oh well, what else can it do? Well, it can't do much of anything. Let's make a pizza box campaign and buy pizza. Oh, we have to use fiat currency to buy the Bitcoin pizza. It doesn't work.
With all
It
due
is-
respect,
it-
but you can
it
use
is good-
Bitcoin.
It is good for one
No,
thing,
but,
and
but
one
you
thing
can
only,
you can use
and
Bitcoin to
that's a
purchase.
store of value.
It's like a coffee. You could use a Lightning Network today, and
I
if you're going to
forgot
see,
I like coming here. I gotta get a glass of water.
But
if you say it can't, it's totally omitting the fact that the Lightning Network exists. The Lightning Network actually works, and then Lightning Network is able to purchase, as you say, a coffee right now. So if you totally omit that, that's fine. But then you're just omitting an existing product that could solve a lot of problems.
But you
can't
can
I
use
buy
the
a
extra-
coffee?
you
Can't
can
I
use
buy
the
a coffee
XRP
with Fold
ledger.
right now?
Huh?
Can't I buy a coffee with Fold right now from Starbucks?
You sure can, and you
And
get
that's my
Sats
Bitcoin.
back, and you
Right.
can use Lightning to buy it, and you get Lightning bonus or Sats back bonus as well. So I mean,
But
that's an
they're
example.
They're using the XRP ledger right now to spend Bitcoin. It's on the XRP ledger right now. There's companies that are doing it right now. What I'm saying is,
I gotta ask, were you around in 2017? Were you here in 2017? Because this is like, I feel like I'm rehashing. Like,
I told you, Joey. So it reminds me of a lot of 2017.
It does feel like that.
Follow something. When you look at XRP, how many have been pre-mined? And if you look at,
there's no mining.
it has been pre-mined, and it's going to be released periodically. I believe at the pace of 1 billion a month. And I remember this off the top of my head. I could be wrong because I'm not into XRP.
Yeah,
somebody's releasing it, and somebody's making money for releasing it. So there's a business model.
It's just never the people that are holding it.
So if you look at it, somebody's making money off it. That is what is called centralized. And I don't want to fight for another centralized thing. I'm fighting against fiat currency. This is just a digital form.
I hate to tell you again. Go do some research on it. I'm not going to argue with you. It's not centralized. It's not centralized. And I would challenge you that it is less centralized than Bitcoin.
No. Len, we gotta, Len, this guy just earned a spot on next week's show. I can't wait. I can't wait. He just earned his spot. No, what do you
I love the dentist. I love the dentist.
Oh my God. Helen Keller knows that Ripple is centralized, man. Oh no.
Oh man.
I love it. Listen, the vibes are high. I'm enjoying this. I mean, this is what makes a market, right? I'm no longer of the I try not to show my teeth on the internet anymore. Sometimes I can't help it, but I do. I mean, you know what? This is what, if you want to buy it, and that's what makes a market. That's what makes this whole thing.
Oh my gosh, married life has mellowed you. What the hell?
No, we've learned that it's just easier to just like let things go and not to fight the good fights.
It's Brandolini's law. It's Brandolini's law. You gotta look it up.
Here's what I'm telling you guys. Here's what I'm telling you, though. Seriously. Here's what I'm telling you. This is the difference between me and a crypto or a Bitcoin maximalist. I like Bitcoin. I would buy Bitcoin. But let me ask you a question. This bull run, this is what I want to know. You guys are the experts. Tell me. This is what I want to know. Right now, Bitcoin's sitting at $32,000. By December, what do you think its maximum potential is going to be? Where it's going to be sitting at?
I've said this before.
It's a forecast, right?
I've said this before. I'm a garbage trader. I'm a better investor. I just buy and hold. I don't trade.
I don't know. I don't really know what it would be. I don't really know what it would be. I mean, the plan, if you're us, like, I'm going to get a little into the weeds here because ultimately this is like a personal risk thing. But, Ryan, you can comment on this too because you're the equities guy on the channel. Everyone has like a risk bag, right? So if your risk bag is something like, I don't know, you like to play TSX venture stocks and you pick up a bunch of like 10-cent shares, that's your bag, fine. And I think in Len's case and in my case, my risk bag is Bitcoin. Now, I personally don't think it's that risky. We've talked on our show a bunch about some of the inertia you've seen in, as far as like confidence in traditional finance seems to be showing in it, that companies seem to be showing in it. We've talked a lot about the regulatory capture that a company like Visa or MasterCard has and how they're enabling spending on Bitcoin, transitory spending, which tells me that the tax laws will probably come down favorably as far as like small coffee size exchanges of value. And I think about those things and I think to myself, That's an awful lot of capital, an awful lot of cost, and even better, it's an awful lot of like favor calling in to what I would imagine is like, you know, U.S. regulators and asking them about that guidance before you put your rails down and really put your shovel in the ground. So for me, that's something that makes sense. Now, I'm not going to pick on Ripple, but I will say that regardless of how you feel about the SEC investigation, certainly if you're holding Ripple, you have to be at least a little concerned that, well, every other company that really has skin in the game and is trying to push the envelope as far as innovation, Visa, MasterCard, Square, Cash App, Wealthsimple, whatever, these guys are aligning themselves with Bitcoin. And, you know, by your own admission, it's the guys who are still sending me emails about meme stocks and telling me I could take a picture of a goddamn check and send it in that are aligning themselves with Ripple. This is not the horse I'd want to tie my buggy to, my man. And I hope you change your mind. But if you don't, your vibe is your tribe, and I'm just enjoying the show. So thank you for coming to my talk. And
you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question. What do you think by December? And because everybody's saying this bull run is going to probably end, I think we can all agree that there's probably one more leg up, hopefully. And that one more leg up, if it runs like previous cycles, may end probably around December, maybe a little sooner, maybe a little later. Where do you see Bitcoin topping out?
I really don't know. Maybe 50 by the end of the year. I think that's unlikely, but I think that's probably the cap. That's my guess.
So you think the highest it's going to top out is 50?
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. I think, I don't know, I would guess you're probably going to get as low if you really take a dive. Typically, I don't say typically, we've never actually tested the high from the previous cycle as a resistance, as a support line in the current cycle. So that's been going on for about 12 years or 8 years, depending on which exchange price you look at. But, you know, as far as the top, I really don't know. I've learned over the years not to try and predict tops because you find yourself counting capital you don't have yet.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
There's so many different factors.
Dangerous game to play. Yeah,
right?
It's dangerous game to play.
You don't know who's going to jump on board. And if somebody like, you know, what if IBM, what if Microsoft, like if any of these jump on board, it changes the variables. And what is the top? Who the heck knows?
But what would you guys studied the charts, you know it inside and out. You guys know your product. What you're invested in it heavily. Where do you think it's going to go by the end of the year?
I have no idea.
I'm a question for ROI comparisons, for instance.
Yeah, and this is my whole point is that if I was gonna, and I love Bitcoin and I was invested in Bitcoin, I'll probably get reinvested in Bitcoin at some point. But what I'm saying to you is that if I'm looking at this from this year's bull run, and everybody's going to invest differently. If I'm looking at it from this year's bull run, and not everybody's going to be like you, that's going to say, well, I'm going to hold it forever and ever and ever and ever, and I'm never going to get rid of it. I'm just going to keep accumulating it until I'm retired, and then I'm going to start pulling from it or whatever. But if you're looking at it from an investment purpose and an ROI purpose for, let's say, you know, short, medium, and long term, why would I invest in Bitcoin if, you know, you guys are saying maybe it's 50, maybe it's 60, maybe it's 100. Like, let's even say it goes crazy. And I saw there was one comment where it says 100. I think
could be 10K too. Like it could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything. But let's think positive. Let's not go backwards. Let's think positive. Let's think it's going to be 100. So it's sitting at, let's say, 30 right now. So you're looking at just over a 3x if it was to get to 100, right? Like if it was to get to 100, a little over 100, you're 3xing your money. So my question to you is, why would I not look at other projects that, you know, have some legs?
So I totally get what you're saying, Mark, but then I got to come at it like this, as in your risk profile and tolerance is clearly different than mine. And I would agree. So, and at the end of the day, for instance, as it is like what Joey was saying, how crypto's kind of his risk, it's his bag. I've got, you know, one cannabis stock that's a bag, and then I consider everything else in crypto a bag at the moment. That's exactly how I'm looking at it. So I've got a little bit of Doge, a little bit of XRP, but then I mine my little Bitcoin and I got my Ethereum, and I can't justify with my ability in the market to get into the higher risk, for instance. So I only own it for the sake of owning it in case, for like, I look at Bitcoin and ETH, for instance, as more of an investment, and truly XRP and Doge, even though you might hate the comparison, as like gamble, like a pure gamble, throw away a couple of $100 and we'll see what happens. That's because at the end of the day, I'm just thinking what a regular retail trader is going to do if everything hits the fan and goes to shit. Right. I'm going to sell my Doge and fucking XRP first. I'm going to hold my ETH and Bitcoin to the absolute end of time. And then I'll start diving into my more valuable or profitable securities or equities or whatever. But I would be getting rid of, I don't know. I don't see like the ROI argument working, just simply because I feel like that would be the first one to dump if there were ever the negative news, and like by far too.
See, and Ryan, I look at it the other way, and here's the reason why. When the SEC lawsuit came in and everything dumped on XRP, that's when I pounced on it. I pounced on it when it went to the floor. So it's been upward movement ever since, right? And I think again, it's my strategy: buy low, sell high. I like Nance knows. My plan is I have an exit plan. Once it hits certain numbers, I'm going to exit out. And part of that rebuy-in plan is to rebuy into Bitcoin.
Well, I guess the heart of the question is, at the end of the day, Mark versus Len and Joey, you believe there's a higher ROI by year's end with XRP than Bitcoin at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Len and Joey just feel something different. I want to go back to something that Joey said. Can I go back to something Joey said?
Yes.
I would love if you did that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I haven't seen you in a while, and I want to talk because I watch you on television, because that's where I watch you, is on my TV, and so
Joey,
and I always
TV. Yeah.
you're on our TV up
Don't
here.
you always get the feeling that someone's watching you though? Creepy.
Oh man, no. But you, I feel like. I'm just going to be dead honest here. I feel like I'm in inflation hell, and I'm watching it happen around me. And to the point of like it Mark and I work together. So Mark could back me up on some of this, and the dog's about to go crazy because there's probably a rabbit in the front yard here any second. So if I go blank, you guys can just pick up the conversation. I feel like I feel so like we're in the eye of the storm, and it's about to hit us, and we just can't. People aren't seeing what's really happening. Like, it's bad. We get like I'll say this one thing. We got a notification from McCain, the French fry people. McCain French fry. McCain is so short on staff. They can't get the raw product. They're going to be out of their safety stock of French fries soon. They won't be back in stock until the new fresh crop comes back in, which, what was it they saying, Mark, September, October? Mm-hmm. And then for their appetizers, they're not going to be back in stock until January. I'm like, I could go down the list of things, and every day it's coming at us fast. The labor problems are becoming exponentially worse and worse and worse, and people just aren't seeing it. But we're seeing it in a big way in the food production, and food affects each and every one of us. There isn't a single person on this call today that probably didn't consume something, and you're going to consume something tomorrow.
I do it for survival.
So I want to talk about this because I know that Joey, you get down the rabbit hole on inflation, and sometimes I feel like I'm alone in this, but not when I watch you.
Look, I mean, what can you say about this whole like shortage and it's not really not just the shortages. Okay, we said on our show, we talked about CPI yesterday or 2 days ago whenever we recorded, and we talked about CPI compared to the Canadian. What was it, Len? The bond purchasing program was being tapered from $3 billion a month to $2 billion a month.
QE it was originally 5, then to 4. Now it's 3 and 2 billion. And that's a week. $2 billion a week.
A week. Sorry. Yeah. Oh my God. If I had that kind of money, just imagine. But the point I made on Monday, and I'll make again now, is basically this: that there's this like Truman Show going on around you, right? And the point of the Truman Show, if you've ever seen the movie, I might be dating myself here a little bit, but the Truman Show basically is this guy who's in a reality television show but he doesn't know it. And the whole point of the show is just to keep him in the show while still having things that are kind of off kilter happen to him, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes,
but
that's it.
But the problem is he figures out that something's wrong, and he gets in a boat and starts steering his boat to the end of the earth, what he believes is the end of the earth. But he hits a cardboard wall. It's the set wall, and he walks up a set of stairs and walks out the exit door. Now, in our situation, you see these stories where the bank is telling you things are getting better. We talked about savings rates. Nancy, I'm sure you've heard us talk about that. And if you watch our show, you've heard us talk about that. We talk about the debt that's being taken on and like the BRRRR strategy that's available now, not only in housing, but also in equity investing and all these things. That's your Truman Show, what they're telling you about inflation and tapering and all that. And Len and I were looking yesterday at a similar story from the United States about the CPI. And the CPI increase was, I think, a point last month. Len, was that the number?
0.9% and 3.7% for the first half of the year.
So you get 1% inflation for a year in the CPI. Now, here's the problem: all the stuff in your grocery run isn't in the CPI. There's no meat, there's no milk, no yogurt, no cheese. Not in the quantities you buy anyway. The CPI is completely fixed. Now, even worse, I will give you an hour on the internet. You look up whatever you want, whatever website, you will not find what the American CPI basket is. I guarantee you will not find the contents of the CPI basket. It's too hard. You won't be able to do it. I couldn't do it. If you do it, I'd love to see it. So you have that. Now in Canada, we are under this illusion that we have these policy levers we can pull, whether it's tapering the bond program or lowering or raising rates, whatever. We can do all these things. The problem is that trade settles in US dollars, specifically oil. Yeah. So until that changes, we don't have a policy lever. We can fool ourselves and we can get up there. Freeland can get up there and talk about how Canadians are saving more than ever, la-di-da. But she knows she's not telling the truth. And I think more and more Canadians are seeing this too, because like you're describing, today it's in your line of work with McCain. Tomorrow it's me at the grocery store. Right. And then the day after that, it's the kid at the grocery store who's no longer got a job because no one's coming to that store because they don't have French fries anymore. Right. And that, it goes on and on. These things work in unison, but there's a delay, right? And so I don't want to get too into the weeds on like the Cantillon effect, but this is basically the same thing in the financial system, right? The people closest to the spigot get access to the money first. And then by the time it comes to people like us, unless you have an up strategy you can execute or a plan to execute against Cantillonaires, you're going to be in trouble because the inflation is going to be too much for you. Ask anybody who doesn't own a house, right? Can you imagine looking on TV right now? On one channel, you got entire tent homeless encampments, especially in Hamilton, getting ripped down by police. On the next channel, they're telling you that it's impossible for young people to move out and get a home. And then the channel after that, they tell you again that savings rates are the highest they've ever been. Can you imagine seeing those things on TV if you're like an 18, 19, 20-year-old? You'd be in la la land. You'd be so disoriented. And that's what you're up against now. And so this inflation thing, I think, I don't know if it's the eye of the storm, but I definitely don't think we're even close to the right tail of this curve. I think this is going to go nuts in the next few years. And I'm old enough to remember back in March 2020 when they told us there wasn't going to be any inflation, right? And then they went from that to, well, there's going to be some inflation, but it's going to be temporary and it's going to be about average. And then it was, okay, there's going to be some inflation. It's going to be a little bit higher than average, but it's only going to be for a little while. Now it's, I think the most recent thing from our friend Janet, not Jackson, but Yellen. I wish it was Janet Jackson up there. I'm tired of looking at that old bag of bones. Telling me about how the inflation is transitory and it's going to be medium to long term. Anyone have any idea what medium to long term is?
Forever.
Because we're already 18 months in. Because 18 months is transitory for them, right? So we're already 18 months in. So what's medium to long term? Is it 2 years, 3 years? Is it 6% every quarter?
You got to find a way to store your value. And Jason Spooner actually was talking about McCain being a new store of value. After the show's over, I'm going to go to Costco, load up my car with frozen fries, and I'm going to start selling them later this year. I'm going to make a killing.
I tried to switch windows to put a comment in about McCain being a publicly traded company, but it auto-corrected me to Moccasin, which I don't want to buy as a publicly traded company.
They are company.
Moccasin.
Sad. Anyway, I don't think you're nuts, man. I don't think you're nuts.
And let's just McCain is a good Canadian company for sure, but they honestly, there is it's just there's compounding things that are happening here. And it's just that all I'm saying by this is we have to raise our heads up and we have to look around and we have to recognize that it's happening. There's raw material shortage. There's raw material shortage. It's not just labor shortage, raw material shortage. And then you add the labor shortage in on the whole thing. Then you increase the spike in demand. Then you change over what people were buying before to now going back to buying something different. It's just it's like a storm of things that's swirling around. And I'm just really passionate about it because Mark and I are embroiled in this. And
bringing it back to crypto then, Nancy, where do you think crypto is going to go with that? Because it responded totally opposite the way everyone thought it would the last time. And I think it's because we're in crypto. We think it's valuable. We've got it. But at the end of the day, most people don't give a shit. They're in it for the money. And crypto is going to be the very first thing that is sold off.
I don't agree.
Well, are those people who think
crypto went down significantly more than the S&P 500, for instance? So on that,
no, I think that was. I think no, Ryan. I think
it's the last priority, in my opinion.
But are those people who think crypto is shit buying gold and silver? If so, they have no argument that crypto is shit. Because that's what you do. You buy Bitcoin and
what I'm saying though is that it's that
buying gold
secondary
and silver.
Oh, for sure. What I'm saying though, it's that secondary like that psychological market that isn't as important as what they've been, the brick and mortar of society. That's what I'm saying. Crypto is going to be the first to go, and then I think XRP is going to go before Bitcoin, and that's my opinion. But like, the same reason why everybody was shocked the other a week ago, whatever the hell it was. I think crypto is going to come down with the market. So I don't understand. There's no store of value to me I'm brand new to this market. Okay. There's no store of value to me in something that loses 50% of value in 3 to 4 months. So that's not a true store of value to me right now. I think that's fair as a newbie in this. Okay. Because my time frame's different than someone who's been here since 2017. Right. So to me, it's not a store of value. So, and you got to think about most of the people who've propped up this market since we've seen it come to all-time highs. They're probably more in my line of thinking, I would imagine.
Yeah, but Ryan, you're looking at it and it just dropped by what percentage did you say? 30%? 50%?
Oh,
50.
Okay.
Just say you're just looking at it like it dropped by 50. But between this time last year when I bought it and now it jumped up 200%.
But that's not a store of value. That volatility is not a store of value at all.
It is. I've got more money in now than I had this time last year.
And there's people I could ask who are the total opposite. What I'm saying is the volatility doesn't go to the argument at all for a store of value. Like, you could make a lot of money. It doesn't mean it's a store of value. Like, you made a lot of money. That's fantastic.
Okay,
There's a lot that lost a lot of money.
But let me ask you this much. How much money are you losing every day in the fiat world? Have you done the calculation on that?
Yeah, Ryan, how much money are you losing, Ryan?
In fiat? Okay, on stocks, I would say
that was an attack. That was an attack, Nancy.
Was I attacking? I wasn't attacking. Ryan's my guy.
Well, no. Keep this in mind too, though, because me and Nancy agree on this. We're stockpiling cash too on the other side of things outside of crypto. Yeah. So we're not like attacking each other. Like I think we're actually, funny. And I might look at it a little bit differently. I just feel like there's a lot more people like me than there are like Len, Joey, and Mark, and Tim and Nancy. In that the first frigging thing that's going to go. Now I've got a little bit of money, so I don't have to worry about selling that as a necessity to survive. Right. But the first thing that's going to go is going to be crypto.
I'm with you on that. I tend to agree because the people that are invested in general markets in both stocks and crypto, they're probably used to the old way of doing things, and so people like me that are
that way.
But every day it's changing, and not fast enough that it's going to tip the scales tomorrow. But every day it's changing. There's more and more people like me and Joy around, and there's going to be less and less people like, I guess I don't want to say you, but people.
No, it's true though, because we're learning every day. I'm just afraid though, like there's not enough people like you to carry Bitcoin through that next serious crash. Like that's
an important thing.
Yeah. But consider that it's also limited in like how much quantity there is too. And we could talk about like the Michael Saylors of the world holding about 1% of the overall value. That will never see the light of day. So there is a large supply out there that is just locked in and forget about it. But there's also a large supply that's held by people that will sell at the first sign of trouble where they have to make ends meet. I think you're right on that regard. these scales are not going to tip overnight. It's going to take a long time for it to change. People are still in the old mindset, but over time it will change. As more and more adoption takes place, El Salvador today, or a little while ago, Paraguay coming up. As more and more of these countries get on board, it's going to make it a lot more easier to stay on board.
Totally agree. Also, I just wanted to say this, Tim, when you're talking about gold and silver, I don't really like gold, dude. There's no real utility. On the after show of the last live stream we had, me and Len were talking till like midnight, you guys. You missed a wicked show. But the reason I buy silver is way more into the utility of the metal with respect to its conductivity and industrial uses than it is as a precious metal. So I buy it for a totally different reason. I think most people think I hold on to it, but I would never buy. I don't consider gold and silver the same. To me, like, silver as utility and gold is a store of value that I don't believe in. But like, I don't know. I mean, that's where I'm at with that. Just wanted to mention that. But
Ryan, do you think that the problem with like the whole conviction thing in Bitcoin and in equities too is at least it's like even more than tangentially related, but like maybe not the direct cause, is that people are investing for the first time and are not following advice like don't invest totally money that you can't lose?
We would totally be foolish to assume that isn't like one of the largest driving forces in the equities and crypto right now. Crypto market didn't just prop up exponentially the second we started printing money for people in checks by coincidence. That crypto market is propped up by this money printing. So is the equity market. Everything's propped up. And someone said here in the comments, if they needed a few bucks, the first thing they're selling is crypto. It's not that crypto doesn't make sense to them. It's just we're teaching old dogs new tricks. And 2017, there was a few dogs. Now there's a little more dogs. But at the end of the day, it's still a small pack of dogs. At the end of the day, I think
he's calling me a dog.
No, but we're all learning. Like and like to assume. Like, how many of us here have been through 2017? A fraction. In 5 years from now, there's going to be people saying, how many of you were here through 2021? And there's going to be a little bit more, for instance. And it's just, I don't think the people are there mentally, because if you just got an email, for instance, Joey, about meme stocks, clearly TD's done market research to show what stupid investors are searching right now. Absolutely. Because it's not just a random email, but it's about what the majority of their searches are for right now. So there's too many stupid people. So at the end of the day, those stupid people are going to sell crypto. No, but if we're pretending like
you're right to watch the show.
No, but truly, if we're pretending like AMC, oh, that's nice. AMC or GameStop is a fantastic investment. Like, there's a reason that you got that email, for instance. It's got to like. So the problem is with the investor, and I think the investor is going to bring crypto down just with the market for sure. That's my gut.
Are you sure it's not Tether that's going to bring down the crypto market?
Oh my God, Tim! Why are you doing this? Something happened with Tether today. I thought I saw like
they're coming up on their. They're coming up on.
No, Crypto Casey. Have you guys been? Do you watch her?
No, I only watch Crypto. What's that guy's name, Len? Crypto Keefe, the guy who does his podcast.
He gets liquidated
on fire. Yeah, what happened to that guy?
No. I think Joey, honestly, I think you and Len might like Crypto Casey. She's a female, she's Canadian, and she did a 3-part series on how the crypto market is overlaid on top of the fiat market. Actually, Ryan, you would really like it too, because it goes along with this same conversation what we're having. And she talked about how Tether is very much like in part of the repo market. Rehypothecated. It was really, really good. But we just watched tonight the last one in her series, and that Tether could be the thing that brings this whole house of cards down. After I watched it, it made me a little nervous, actually.
You know what? I got a feeling, as much as I've been hearing about it for a while, it's another YouTube pump story. That's all it is, in my opinion. I mean, you know what, Nancy? Nancy always rolls her eyes every single time. You didn't roll it.
That was more than an eye roll, buddy. That was more than an eye roll.
When I brought up Tether a month ago because it was stupid. Now it's all about Tether. At the end of the day, I honestly think that it's always another effing story with crypto. It's just doing the rounds. We've got the top 10 sites we all check. It's doing the rounds. YouTube is bad for it, okay? Because we all know, go to Google Trends, whatever the frig is the top thing to talk about, I'm going to make a video because it will make me more money. So expect that to just be a thing, okay? So if Tether keeps showing up in the news, I'm going to talk about Tether because I'm going to make more money. And that's the same thing with every other YouTuber in the world. Like, Tether look, I brought it up and then you guys reinforced it. I have no interest in Tether or stablecoin or anything right now. In fact, I took everything off of BlockFi just because the interest isn't worth the lack of liquidity for me. But yeah, no, I'm in that FUD zone. Not FUD. I'm holding it. But if there's a moment where I want my money like instantaneously, I'm not going to trade that for $20 a month, 30, 40, $50 a month in interest. So I'm just going to hold it on an exchange for the moment, but I'm looking to get a hardware wallet, but we'll see.
Welcome to the Not Your Keys, Not Your Coin Club. That's good news.
I'm getting there.
But I just want to double back to your previous discussion about, the crypto being the first thing to sell. This time around, as opposed to 2017 was driven primarily by retail investors. This time around, the pump, a lot of it is money printing. You're right. A heck of a lot of it is money printing, but a lot of it is also institutional investors. Are they going to be the ones to sell? Should there be an opportunity to sell, or would they still hold on to it? That's a question I hope we never see. But if it ever comes to fruition, I wonder what's going to happen if they're going to be selling or holding on to it because it's a long-term investment.
Len, I agree with you. There's a lot more institutional investors this time, but I don't think there's as much as what people are kind of making it out to be. I think this market's still retail driven, and that's why you see such volatility in it. Like, it's still retail driven for sure. And there is more investors obviously that are companies and whatnot.
No, but okay, Mark, can I question you on that a little bit? But do you not think that maybe it's the institutions that are doing they're just doing a swing trade, as Ryan says, but they're just doing it with bigger dollars? Don't you think that's contributing more to the volatility of Bitcoin at this point in time?
Yeah, I would say it is too. But I think if I have no statistics on this. I'm just judging by, things I've seen, things I've read, what's out there. You start looking at, types of information. I think there's still a lot of retail investors out there that are into Bitcoin and crypto. And I think if you're like whatever the crypto market is today, 1.2 trillion or whatever it is, I think like how much of that is different from 2017? Like, what's the percentage difference? Is there 5% more institutional investors?
There's a lot more because you have ETFs that exist today that did not exist.
ETFs is a big one.
I could go look at, Grayscale. Grayscale owns 600,000 BTC. That's about 3% of the market. But we could even go on to individual companies. MicroStrategy owns 100,000. That's about 1%. Tesla, 43,000. Square, another 8,000. You could go down the list. These did not exist, not to this degree. So there's a lot of institutional investors that hold on to it now, and those ETFs, they hold a ton, and it did not even exist before.
But would you say it's a majority, like more than what the retail market holds? Would you say institutions have the majority of the holdings of Bitcoin?
Personally, and this is a total guess on my part, no. I would think that retailers are still tipping the scales there.
Yeah,
but
same.
Prove me wrong, though.
I don't know. I think that the other thing too to consider is like the number. It's like an accelerating. It's like an accelerating phenomenon, right? So much the same way as when the market drops, if you're invested in like VFE or one of these like whatever Vanguard, all world ETFs or like XUS ETFs, if you do it automatically every 2 weeks and the market drops 15 or 20%, you're never going to call your broker and be like, okay, I want to sell. Even better, if it's in your retirement fund, you can't call your broker and tell them you want to sell. So like, it's just, Bitcoin is going to get there through ETFs at some point. I mean, if the states ever approves one or when they approve one, I think that's going to be a big, maybe not like there won't be like a bull run from that, but I think that's going to, everything just raises the price floor, because the more coin that's not accessible and, the more coin that's, it's too far away, as Ryan will tell you, he's got his on exchange. If the market drops 10 or 15% and he thinks another 10% is coming, it's easy for him to go to his exchange account and dump. But if it's on his hardware wallet, he's got to think about it. You know what I mean? all that stuff matters. I don't know. I don't know what the total is between institutions and investors. I think investors probably still like, oh God, at least 65%, maybe higher.
Yeah, I was just like, I think it's still like 75, 80% retail.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ryan did a thing a couple of weeks ago, couple of Sundays ago, where it was actually very cool because he took the sort of the same data set that you just said, Len, with the who owns what percentage of Bitcoin, and Ryan said he's getting into Bitcoin by investing with the companies that have the Bitcoin.
No, I was thinking that would be an alternative for anyone who wanted that middle ground for sure. But then again, today on the B show was the very first time I ever learned that these companies can't actually claim the profits, but they must absolutely post their losses. Mm-hmm. So then I thought, okay, what the F? So outside of the kind of news cycle type trading on those companies, I'm not really investing in it for the sake of Bitcoin because they can't even claim that profit on their balance sheet. So it's like, anyway, that all changed today, basically, when I heard Cathie Wood say that, and now I have no interest in it. But yeah, Chris is saying throwing in my watermelon and mustard. No clue what you mean, but at the end of the day, I have no clue what you mean. But yeah, no, since that B word interview or thing today, when I found that out, maybe I'm ignorant not knowing that in the first place, but that idea seems less attractive to me now, for sure.
It's like an antiquated set of laws, right, that require that. I don't know if they'll change that. I'd be curious what the next like 5 or 6 years look like, because whether it's Bitcoin or some other crypto asset, like there's just no way the companies, are going to put up with having to get on their quarterly call, give a number, and then have the media tell everybody on TV that the number wasn't the same in the quarterly report. And the media doesn't have time in a 2-minute hit with Jim Cramer screaming at the camera to tell you about non-GAAP accounting. Like they're just not going to do it, right? And your stock will take a hit. So
and
I think
that's what Cathie was alluding to big time is that, well, in very like low key, and then Jack kind of made Jack Dorsey kind of made a comment. Low key, I think, kind of try to set up that like, oh, it's okay, Elon, don't worry about it. But like, I think that was in the back of their mind that I think Tesla's going to see a serious, just given where they bought, they're probably going to see a serious loss on their books. But anyway. Yeah.
No, they have carbon credits coming. Don't worry, any sort of loss could be written off with a whole bunch of carbon credits.
Oh
gosh,
no kidding. So okay, Rohit says, any thoughts on the Bogdanov twins claiming they helped Satoshi to build Bitcoin?
I love those guys. Do you know who those guys are?
No.
You do. You've seen them before. They're in all those like pump it memes. The guys who are so stuffed full of Botox, they look like some kind of like deformed, deranged, Yeah, and they're always on their phones.
So they helped Craig Wright?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he's connecting dots here. Okay, this makes sense.
Are those the Bogdanov twins? Who said that? Who am I talking to here?
Rohit.
Rohit, you should put in the chat. Like, I don't know if you can share URLs in the chat, but send a picture of those guys to the chat, because if people don't know who those two guys are, it's pretty jokes. Definitely worth looking up.
Oh man!
Do you think when the easing and all the social programs end, that you're going to see more of a pullout of the Bitcoin and the alts and stuff?
What was that word you just used? End? You think they're going to end?
I was going to say, do you honestly think there's going to be an end to this, or is this going to be just
and
A-N-D.
Oh, I thought you said end, because I was going to say, when is this going to end?
They're never going to end.
But I just want to talk about that. Does anybody think it's going to be ending? Is this basically we're going to be accepting the way it is right now for the rest of our lives, or will the quantitative easing eventually end? I'm curious what everybody else thinks.
It's never going to stop.
I'm with Joey on this one. I actually think you know how I've been kind of nervous about getting into the stock market, and then we listened to Anthony Pompliano interview Peter Schiff, and Peter Schiff said that the government, it's like the politicians are never going to let anything fail going forward now. Anytime something might fail, they're going to prop it up. And so I'm like thinking, well, maybe if that is the case, because he's probably right about that, how can they keep going like this? How?
MMT is like in the lexicon now. It's in the Overton window. Like this, I was at a barbecue on the weekend, and somebody at the table started talking to me about mixed monetary theory. And I kept on wondering what they're talking about. And then they started describing it, and I realized they're talking about MMT, modern monetary theory. And so if I'm at a family barbecue and people are talking about MMT, it's already here, man. Like, I don't know. That's
So
the real
explain that,
variant of
unpack
concern.
that a little bit more.
MMT. MMT is that you can print the money that basically your central bank can print its own currency without concern for inflation. Isn't
it a little bit of Keynesian economics as well built in there?
I don't know. I know that if inflation gets away from you, the theory basically says that to keep it down, you just increase taxes. And, I see these stories on like CNBC talking about how MMT is not that bad because you'll be making more money with inflation, blah, blah, blah. And Preston Byrne, who's a great follow on Twitter, crypto lawyer, was saying like, no, idiot, like you're just going to wind up in a higher tax bracket. You're not going to have more money. It's just like, but people don't see this stuff, right? They're kind of living in their own bubble. They talk to their own friends, and chances are if you're watching this video, you get it. But if you're in a position where, I don't know, like if you're an 18 or 19-year-old kid, right, you just got your first job or you're going to school and, what's university pumping into you? I somehow doubt that it's anything about this sort of thing. I guess you have to decide, like, is this worth really getting in front of and fighting, or should we just be strapping on the flippers and swimming with the flow of things, trying to do the best we can for ourselves? I don't know.
It's got to be a fight that's the middle class has to take up, because they're the ones that are going to be made extinct through this whole process. The people that have money, they're going to make more money. The people that don't, they're growing in terms of numbers, and they're not going to be able to accumulate anything more, especially with the economy being closed, or who the heck knows what's going to happen tomorrow if it's going to close again. It's the middle class. That's the one that they have to basically say enough is enough, but I can't see it happening.
Sam is in the comments asking why we think crypto spiked 10% today. Animal spirits is my guess, brother. Anyone else?
Crypto. Okay, I'm going to go back, and this might be controversial. Okay, well, not controversial, but you might disagree. I think crypto went up today because the markets went up today. Just like I think crypto goes down because the markets go down. I don't think crypto went up at all. The markets went up after a rebound with infrastructure deal news out of the United States of America, and crypto rebounded completely. And that's why, again, bouncing back to what I was saying, crypto follows fiat, as much as you guys might hate to really admit it.
No. I think you're right.
It does, man.
I got to say something, though, Ryan.
Yeah,
when Elon Musk mentioned Bitcoin for the first time today, within a minute, Bitcoin went up 1.5%. So there's a direct correlation between what he said and the price of Bitcoin. And I'm not saying he's a good or bad thing for Bitcoin. I'm just saying he does have enough influence to change.
Rely on people like Elon Musk to drive its price? Like,
I don't think they're relying on him. I think he has some influence.
But it seems like that's all Bitcoin has outside of the market.
He's got too much pull. Yeah, he's got too much pull. That's got to change.
Before you're right, Joey, but before he threw his name in a hat, Bitcoin was still steadily going up.
Well, look, call me a wizard. I'm going to make a prediction. Next time market goes down like crazy, so does crypto, okay? So that's my prediction. Next time market goes up like crazy, so does crypto, okay? So crypto is always going to be the little brother until it grows up and gets more of a base and more of a following and more people who even understand what the hell it is. People hodl crypto, and they have no idea why. Like...
And hear me out. And I'm not saying that you're wrong in that sentiment. You're right. Where the market goes, very much to a degree, where the crypto market goes, there's almost, you could follow the path between the two of them. You are right in that. I mean, we saw this last year when everything died in March 2020. It wasn't just the stock market that tanked.
Right.
Bitcoin tanked too. And there's a correlation between the two. You're right in that regard.
That's why I just don't know if I'm putting my... I'm not going balls to the wall on crypto as a replacement right now. As like, I know we're talking, I'm just not doing that, especially Bitcoin as a store of value. I mean, me being new, again, the store of value thing doesn't make sense with the volatility I've experienced. Now, I've got a lot to learn in this space, okay, obviously, but I've experienced quite this. Well, I mean, fuck, whoever's dealt with 2017, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, I'm putting way more faith into securities, and then I'm kind of pulling a Nancy and holding a bunch of cash that I'm ready to go whenever things drop off. But I'm really anticipating a drop off, like caused by the market, though. I don't think crypto is going to be a catalyst for anything unless crypto falls apart in some random scheme that'll sell off like crazy and then trigger to the market. But I think the market's the driver for crypto. Could be totally wrong, though. I don't know. Could be totally wrong.
And I just want to point
Joey
out
looks
that
bewildered.
it absolutely pains me to be saying that I'm in money and I'm holding in fiat money, because I know that my money's being eroded, and I'm in a real conundrum.
Got to pick a number that you like. That's all.
I know.
What else
I
can you
know.
do? I mean, you can't have no dry powder.
Right.
I
am just so, as I said on the show on Sunday night, I am confused. I am absolutely positively confused. And you know what even exasperates my confusion? I talked to my girlfriend last night. She works for a trustee in bankruptcy, and she's usually my gauge on where things are at. I said to her, "How busy are you at work?" And she goes, "Oh my God, you're checking the markets again." And I go, "Yes, I am checking. I'm gauging the temperature." She said, "We are dead. This is the most dead we've ever been." And I'm like, I am so perplexed by this.
Nancy, I have a question for you, because I'm as equally as confused as you, because that video you gave one day where you were explaining what you were doing, and then I made that subsequent one for the middle ground, yada, yada. Remember that video? And I was like, holy shit, me and Nancy, like, I was thinking so on par with Nancy at that point. But it got me thinking, isn't it funny and shockingly confusing how to hedge against fiat, we go to crypto, but then to hedge against crypto, we go right back to fiat.
Exactly.
And it's this weird freaking cycle that we can't figure out where we are in this bubble. But I think no matter your experience level right now, I mean, Joey was saying it's his bag. I mean, Mark, you're into it. I know where crypto stands on my end of things. I know Nancy and Tim got fiat. They got it all across the board. Hard assets, cash, whatever, everywhere, right? It's just funny how you go from fiat to crypto, back to fiat, and never-ending cycle of not knowing where the F we stand.
Well, I will say this, Ryan. I will say this. If there was a way right now today, if there was a way for me to safely hold my Bitcoin in my RRSP, because that's where most of my money is in my RRSP. If there was a way for me to hold Bitcoin in my RRSP, full Bitcoin, not an ETF, full Bitcoin, every single ounce of money I had would probably go, 90% of it would go into Bitcoin. That's how strongly I feel about it.
That's a big. I mean, I think
that's
there's like
that's a lot of money. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
That's a
there's some thought about. Again, we talk about this on our show about like how people who are now sort of within striking distance of withdrawing on their RSPs are probably asking themselves questions about like the bond allocation, and how bonds, you know, typically as you get older, you start moving into bonds, gold, cash, fixed income. You know, you pick your vehicle, and those things. I mean. I was born in 87, so I'm kind of speaking out of turn here, but I think in the early 80s, the rates on Canadian bonds were like, 13% or something like that. And so now I think they're 200 basis points. Like it's negligible. It's negative in nominal terms. Right. And so I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're not negative in nominal terms, but there are places who are negative in nominal terms. If you look at like compared to the inflation numbers, the reported inflation numbers, you're losing money in bonds, which used to be the safe bet. So my question, I guess, for people who are, thinking about retiring or thinking about where they're going to park money, how can you park it in government bonds with the rates going down? And even worse, because of the pressure that's on the middle class and the sort of whatever savings to debt ratio that keeps going up even through a pandemic, you can't raise rates. Like there's no politician. These politicians, you want to talk about controversy, Ryan? I'll give you one right here. These politicians can't even get on a microphone and tell you that police need money to defend a city. And you think they're going to get on a mic and tell you that they're going to raise the rates and wipe out an entire swath of their electorate? There's just no way. There's no way. And so if you're in bonds, not only can you not make money holding them, but there's almost no chance they're ever going to go back up to a reasonable rate where you can invest in them.
Joey, the only people buying bonds is the central banks. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Of course, through the purchase programs. Yeah.
They're starting to relax a little bit in the United. I don't really like talking I love talking about Canada, but Canada really doesn't mean shit on the grand scale of things. In the United States, they're kind of easing back on the bond purchases. But at the same time, they're not going to raise rates till 2023. When's the next election? It's 2024. They're not going to be raising rates until after the next election, okay? So, let's just be real. And by the way, there is something called political trading. This is totally off topic. But for anybody who's totally interested in political trading and just feeding off of midterm cycles and election cycles, this is a There is a lot of money to be made almost every time if you can just gauge the friggin' vote. And it's so freaking easy. But anyway, that's, I think, the only place where me and Nancy disagree on the inflation thing is that I have a feeling we'll feel the effects after 2024 and after the next election. I just have a feeling we're going to feel it after
the effects
that.
of inflation?
Okay, hold on. No. With respect to easing, backing off, and dealing with the issue, it's going to be a second-term president who has nothing left to lose, who's going to tackle the issue. So we're not going to see the issue brought in front of our eyes until that, in my opinion. So I think, I keep hearing it all over the place. We're a middle-aged bull on this bull run right now. I think we've got a little bit longer to go, obviously playing steady. But for anybody to think that this won't be a second-term presidential issue, I think that's crazy. And then go look up like political trading just to maybe check out some of the stats on what politics and elections can bring to a market. Because inflation's not fake, obviously. Deflationary won't be able to control it. It'll just come and we'll be killed. But if it's an inflationary thing, we can push that off as long as we really want with easing, honestly, and raising a ceiling. We can do whatever we want. I just don't think it's going to be an issue. Honestly, I trade so much on sentiment, commitment, and politics and news that it's just like, I don't see these issues that Nancy's saying, even though they're so bang on. I really just don't see them until it benefits those in power. Until they can mention it where it benefits them. I don't know. I don't know how we got to that, but
it's gonna be so hard for them to raise rates, Ryan. I mean, don't forget
it'll be impossible. But dude,
the US is the only.
Do it though. It'll be after the election, man.
The US is the only, I think, only modern democracy that has a term limit, right? So this whole second election thing doesn't really hold water anywhere except the US. In Europe, you can run as long as you want and win as long as you want. Canada, same thing. And I think there is something to be said for trading on sentiment and trading on policy positions, but there's a lot of money riding on those elections for those giant political machines in the States. And so I don't think there's really such thing as a dead duck president who will just, toss legacy and his party out the window to raise rates by 20 basis points or something like that. I don't know. The other question I guess I have. Yeah, it's going to have to be a big raise. It's going to have to be a big raise to fix the problem.
Won't. But that's the beautiful thing about politics, man, is that you can always just push it off to the next guy. Why is it that every single frigging increase and every single BS thing that happens, that might hurt us, happens under right-wing politicians, okay? It's because they come in with an ideology that they have to do something. Okay, go. And then there's another ideology, reverses it. It's a freaking cycle nonstop. To think that a liberal government, if he's a second-term president, he won't take it. It'll be postponed then even further until his third year in his second term. And then now it's an issue that the next one's going to have to deal with just based on the one-off, one-on, one-off. And it's so predictable that I almost always bet on liberals losing money and me having the ability to gain on that. I almost always bet on that. So I'm betting on America being able to push this off and worsen themselves like crazy. But that's just my gut. I mean, I'm truly basing my trades on the fact that I have no faith in their ability to deal with it and therefore are going to push it off.
So you see that, did you see that Powell got another term as Fed chair this week?
Did he really? I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So what's that trade? More printing? I don't know. I think it's eventually I listened to this other podcast, not my own. It's called Animal Spirits by two guys who work for the Compound investment firm out of New Jersey. And they're talking about how, to really put money into any strategy that long-term says stocks are going to decrease in the number of dollars they are worth, not the purchasing power, not the, real nominal. I don't care. The number of dollars they're worth in the stock market. To put any real, to give any traction to one of those strategies, you really have to have an edge in information and know something that people don't know. Because, even before the printing was really an option, the way it has been in the last 18 months, the stock market over time just goes up and to the right. Everyone's seen that S&P 500 chart that starts back in the 30s or 40s and just goes up and to the right. So I don't know if there's a strategy there. Like, I don't know. What do you buy? Long dated calls, Ryan? I don't know. I don't know. If
I
you
don't
trade
buy
options or
calls,
not.
man. I can honestly say, like right now, if anything, I've got. So I don't advertise this on my channel, only because there's a real serious risk in advertising risky plays on your channel. I've had people go crazy when I started my channel on that stuff, so I don't do it. I'm buying puts like crazy across the board for American stocks on my Quest Trade account. But I will be buying in September when 2024 calls open up on the market. Okay, so that happens in September. When that happens in September, I will be buying some 2024 calls for a few companies down in the United States. But right now, given there's no 2024 calls available to me, I'm putting short term like crazy. And then my Wealthsimple is the safe shit that we all rock and roll and keeping our TFSA and our RSP and yada, yada, yada. But when I'm more confident in options plays, I'll make videos about it. But I need to learn way more about options plays. But I'm waiting for September for 2024 to open up. You've got a lot of companies in the United States where 2024 gives us enough time to play out the bullshit in the market. So that's a real opportunity for me, I think. But that's where I'm at with options. Right now, it's all puts.
If you want a weekend course for options trading, just go to Wall Street Bets and just read up on a few threads. You'll be golden after that.
Nancy, cover your eyes so we can't see them rolling.
Oh gosh, you guys are funny. So quickly, because we're almost at an hour and a half, and I think it's probably enough for everybody tonight. Although I'm loving this conversation because it makes
Ken and Neil look exhausted. I
know. Well,
No,
Ken,
some coffee going back there.
I don't know
what's in
Ken-
Mark's cup? It looks like Mark went to see a Marvel movie today or something. What's in that cup?
What?
Who?
Mark, what's in your cup?
What's that?
What's in your cup? It looks like you went to see a movie today or something.
This is my Notre Dame 2018 football cup.
Nice. Okay.
Not a Space Jam 2.
No,
Too bad.
No, Mark's a football guy.
I wanted to buy my first NFT that came out the other day. Someone was doing an NFT for the Hail Mary play, the first Hail Mary play ever made by Staubach, and I think it was starting at $20,000, and a little bit out of my range, but you would get to own the NFT for the first Hail Mary, and I don't know, go down to Texas and redo it all over again. Who knows? But
that's on the NFT scene these days. Are people buying NFTs still?
Neil.
oh yeah.
There's a lot of people buying.
Neil!
They're doing
NFTs with celebrity signatures now.
That's fucking lame, though. That's lame. This is what I don't get about NFTs.
I'm really
NFTs
enjoying
is
watching every time Ryan swears. Tim and Nancy just watching the monetization just flutter out the window.
No.
We haven't been monetized yet. We don't have enough subscribers.
No, Joey said fuck and shit in the first.
I've been trying to cut it back. I
They
remembered
could have
that's
done that on
again.
replay. They could have
I
done
remembered
that on
that's a
replay.
YouTube rule.
Okay.
I thought we were the after
Where'd
show
everybody
again.
go? Where'd everybody
Damn
go?
it. Hey, sorry guys.
Oh, Jesus. Oh man.
Twice now.
Well, let's
Right.
just say that Neil, you're saying people are buying the NFTs. Ken, you're saying people are buying NFTs. Mark was going to buy an NFT.
No, but Mark said the NFTs are coming to the NFL.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really big over the next year. I don't know if it's going to have lots of legs long term. To be honest with you, I don't understand it.
Mark, I gotta ask you this though, because this is where I started losing my marbles on our last chat. Sorry, by the way, I actually for a second thought we were after show. Okay, sorry though, dude. Okay, Mark, when we were talking last
A little
time,
red button.
an NFT to me seems like somebody is pretending to hold something, and therefore they spend a lot of money so that other people can't pretend to hold it, and therefore they're the only one who can pretend to hold it. So therefore it means nothing to me. But when we bring NFTs to sports and sports gambling, and that seems to be your space, and only because I'm super interested in it, for instance, to buy a play that was relative to a bet,
Right.
that's something incredible too, right? But when are we going to start seeing that integration with NFTs? Because right now it's like I'm paying to pretend I have a picture. I don't know. To me, it makes no sense until sports gambling is involved.
Yeah, so I think And aside from the sports gambling piece, and I think that's a big piece to it, but I think what you're going to start seeing, especially with the NFL, is you're going to start seeing NFTs, but associated with something tangible. So this is why I have a problem with NFTs. Like, I don't understand what I'm buying. Like, okay, why would I spend $20,000 on the Hail Mary play?
Well, I'm not getting.
I don't understand it. But what I do understand is if someone said to me, okay, well, you're gonna own Tom Brady's last touchdown, and when you buy that for $50,000, you're gonna go down to Tampa and spend a day with Tom Brady and talk about it and do like that. When
that would be cool.
When that comes together, then I see value in an NFT.
But okay, so is an NFT then just a ticket to the event with Tom Brady, and then you get a digital BS that is just irrelevant? Therefore, you're not going to be able to sell that shit. Like, you're not going to be able to sell something when you already went on your date with Tom Brady or whatever. Right. And no, and I mean that honestly, because I'm into this NFT thing with sports. But like, that's I understand what you're saying with it has to become tangible. Like, I need something that I can physically do or experience in order for an NFT to make sense.
Right.
But if all you're going to do is send me a picture with my emailed copy of the receipt, I don't really give a shit. You know what I mean? And like, that's, I think, where NFTs are right now. I just can't wait. Like, we all well, I'm telling you, if my favorite video game, Madden, told me that I had to buy a certain team, I probably would. I like playing Madden. If I was in a fantasy football team and it was designated in pools, segregated by NFTs, okay, then that would be another scenario too where you could genuinely get into a pool. I just can't imagine an NFT succeeding if it's literally anything besides a receipt outside of gambling.
Well, right now, to me, NFTs is I know we're in a speculative market in crypto, but to me, NFTs is the speculative market on steroids, right? Like, people are just buying these things and investing in these things, and they don't even really know what they're investing in or buying in. But like I said, I think you're going to get to the point where you're going to start seeing an NFT is going to be a digital. Yes, there'll be something digital that you own, but it'll be associated with something real that you're going to get out of it. And that's what's going to drive the value.
Well, it also, okay, I was thinking about this too. It could also be utilized as a security stamp. I mean, just another form of security with respect to collectibles, for instance. If anything was ever stolen, yet blockchain could identify, yada, yada, yada. I mean, at the end of the day, especially if it was identified as such. But I am so, I don't know. You guys are deeper in the alt space.
What the two of you are talking about is Eternity Chain has started doing that. So with the really big one with Muhammad Ali, the person who won it actually got a pair of, I think, his last pair of gloves that he ever used in the ring. Fernando Tatis, for the 100 that bought his one NFT, they got a baseball bat that had gold leaf. That, like, so the Louisville Slugger or whatever, I don't know what brand, but it was gold leaf. So they are kind of doing that. But I believe Chili's is one that's trying to provide access to teams, athletes, events, things like that. And that's why you'd hold that particular cryptocurrency and that coin, because it would provide you access to your favorite team. And I believe they've got huge stuff with European football, and it's just fanatical over there. So that's why you'd want to hold that to get access to maybe functions for the team.
So this is my question then to you, Neil. I think Mark and maybe, all of you guys, every single one of you guys can comment on this. When you're saying there's a token for a team, a coin for a team, yada, 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 how many of these coins or tokens are going to be just destroyed and irrelevant because they are irrelevant? And going to be swallowed up by totally bigger whales who just own, for instance, an NFL license. Whatever they do, it's an NFL license, because that's more along the lines as opposed to one team with one company. That's not really how it works. So it's like there's 1,000 people running for the 2 cups of water right now. But like, who do you think is going to be the 2 who actually get the cup of water? Because it's not going to be these small players at all. But at the same time, it might be one of those top 10 holders, I don't know, who might swallow up and get into this market. But it's not going to be the little guy. That might be a buy out. I don't know. I have no idea how crypto works on that kind of space, or they just die out in crypto and replaced by something else. But who do you think is going to be the big fish in this? Because this is like cannabis when cannabis started with 8 billion little companies, and then they're whittled down and they go up, whittled down. So NFT space is the exact same thing. And half of them are gone, half of them are stupid, and all of them are unproven. You know what I mean? So it's like, where do you see this ending up at the end of the day? Just because whatever you're investing in right now, in a year from now, may very well be irrelevant given how this space is totally advanced.
Yeah.
Neil.
Well, it just depends on what you're looking for. I think the fanaticism with sports, right? Like, I definitely used to be into sports a lot more than I am now. But, you know, the things people will do, like Leaf Nation, I'm a Leaf fan. And if you just think about Leaf fans yeah, that's fine. At Leafs fans in general, right, love to consume. They want Leafs everything. You know, they want the hat, they want the jersey, they usually have stuff up, they want their flag, you know. So for someone like that, it would be very enticing to get something that might provide you better access to your obsession almost, right? But Ikami did a drop, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was the first interactive drop they'd done. Mm-hmm. And it was, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the trap for the ghosts and Ghostbusters, right? Yeah. And if you had Slimer, you could actually trap Slimer in that trap as an interactive NFT. So you have these two NFTs that are now interacting together. So like,
this is what I'm saying though, is that like that provides me nothing in my life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how that even makes sense. Like,
it is kind of cool, though. Like, it's kind of cool.
Sure, what, right? Though? If I was a millionaire and wanted to catch Slimer once, like, I'll maybe buy the NFT. I'm just thinking, though, like, I'm not a millionaire and I don't give it.
Show your friends you caught.
Listen, Neil saying you can catch him 2 or 3 times for crying out loud.
Oh, shit. What it is for me, I don't really see, you know, the huge value in it, and I'm more speculative, and I want to get things that are the first releases in this, because they're going to be, you know, the first editions. Even though there might be 6,000, there's only 6,000 of them in the future. But I haven't really been dabbling as much there. But it's not necessarily that I believe in it or that you believe in it. It's the people that are going to consume it, and people. The biggest thing, and I did see a comment, I'm not sure who it is. They said that gaming is going to be a big part of NFTs, and I do believe that, because say all of a sudden you're in this game and you win a battle, or see, I don't do a lot of these role-playing games and that, but you earn this sword or this helmet, and it provides you this, you know, ability in the game. People will buy that off you with in-game currency or out-of-game currency.
I would interact with that.
But then we're
that's
where I think
that's the strongest NFT use case, honestly.
Yeah,
and anybody's going to do that.
It's verify that you actually have something. So it looks like NFTs will go into sales as well, because that would be able to how to verify that. But that for me, I'm looking more of the fun stuff. And when people, even when they don't have a lot of money, sometimes what they like to do is escape. And that's when you buy movies. That's when you buy this. You follow this team. Well, that's what NFTs, I think, will provide.
Yeah.
I'm not really jumping down that hole right now, grabbing it, but I'm just watching it. But
the video game
stuff. But hold on, Ken, before you get into this, I want to get Neil's answer on the original question. Neil, because I think there's XYZ, there's everything out there, right? We don't know what the hell's out there. It's all out there. NFTs are obviously spread out. Who is going to be the market who's going to be the one who you're going with? Is it Omi or whatever? Like, I mean, who are you going with, though, as the one who's going to breach us into gaming or sports or yada yada? That was my question for the viewers, because I'm curious too, because I don't believe in any of this.
I'm not touching any of them. The only thing I've done is I've held on to my Omi. Last week I moved more into stable coins and just farming Define with stables. So I'm just watching the sideways market, so I'm not touching any NFTs right now, because I don't know what's going to survive. I'd probably follow partnerships and deals, but I don't know what's going to survive, so I'm not touching it. Yeah, I got burned already earlier when I had everything.
Because this is my thing. It's like, it's friggin' cool as hell. I mean, if I want to bring up a picture of like the DeLorean for like a half a second and be like, shit, and then go back to my life, but it's like it's not worth the money. You know what I mean? Like right now, it's just not applicable to my life right now.
Okay.
So
Well,
Ryan,
let's-
what do you think the price of Bitcoin will be at the end of the year?
I actually already answered this to somebody.
Well,
I
I
think
know.
we're actually sideways.
I know. Well, poor
Oh,
Ken.
we're sideways, all right.
Poor Ken was trying to answer and get his 2
I just
cents.
want
so
to say one thing, okay?
yes,
Yeah,
say it.
Say, for God's sake.
NFT. No, it's not about that. NFTs, gaming will be done on the Theta network. So will movies and so will music because they'll be released by Sony. So you can get them in NFTs. That'll be on the Theta network.
Who's to say it'll be on the Theta network versus anyone
Oh.
else?
It's there. It's already in the works.
It's on the Canadian Bitcoiners network.
Powered
All
by
movies.
Lightning.
No, I agree with you, Ken. I
by
agree
Ripple.
with you. Which is also powered by Ripple. No, it's yeah.
Can I ask
Well-
a question for the panel, though? I think it's important. What happens first? The Ripple settles their disagreement with the SEC, or Cardano has smart contracts launched? Which one? This year? Does it happen in 2021?
I say it happens in 2021. I think there's a settlement is more likely than going to judgment. So I think they're going to come to a settlement more likely than judgment. If I was going to take a wild stab at it, I would say that it's going to happen by October is my thought.
So Ripple wins.
You know how dangerous it is what Mark just did? That's it. Now we're holding it. We're holding you to it, bud.
I know.
October. Mark said
You
it.
have to get an
here
XRP
oh,
tattoo
God,
if you don't
listen,
use it.
All the great ones call their shots, bud. Babe Ruth, here we go.
All right.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Well, on that note, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us tonight. All of obviously our amazing viewers and Joey and Len, thank you for jumping on and chatting with us. I love having other people that will talk inflation with me. And so for anybody that is looking for Joey and Len, they're on the Canadian Bitcoiners. See, and I got it right this time. They got a
because it's down
podcast
there. How could you misread that?
and a YouTube channel. Obviously you can find Ryan over at the HiRye channel.
Can I pump
And
for 2 seconds?
yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if Joey's going to be there because I've been talking to Len, but me and at least Len, maybe Joey, going to be doing a little video about something a little controversial. I'm going to be the devil's advocate known to man. I'm going to just shred everything I can, and Joey, knowing him, or Len, knowing him, they're going to take a shit on me. So there's going to be a video coming out with that in a little bit, but again, that's on the HiRye channel.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry,
gosh.
no.
Back the truck up.
Oh
Bring the
gosh. Well, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. And of course, as always, Ken and Neil, thank you for participating tonight. And Mark, second week in a row, we're gonna go for week number 3 next week.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm coming next week. I got to go to the dentist again and get climbed up before I get on the show.
Oh
Mark,
man.
Even
Well,
though
anyways.
you were high as a kite, you're good, dude. You're
Oh
good.
yeah, good. And as Gus says, as Jim Carrey said in the Truman Show, good morning, good evening, and good night. Thanks, everybody. Mwah.
Hey, everyone.